Good day, everyone. We are the Group 14 reporters. The following: Mary Abigail CATAñO, Reymart Nemenso, Angelica PEPITO, Wendy FRITZ ORANZA, and Leah Joy SAMOYA from the class of BEd 3. Today, we are going to talk about strategies for teaching and learning good manners and right conduct. But before that, Mary Abigail CATAñO will be the first to report the objectives of the lesson and to be followed by the lesson proper.
Objectives: discuss different approaches and strategies in teaching Gmrc, give tips on how to process the activities effectively, and demonstrate appreciation and value effectiveness of these strategies. So first topic, we have innovative strategies for teaching and learning Gmrc. Now let's proceed to the major approaches in values education. First approach is inculcation. Its purpose is to instill or internalize certain values in students. Its methods or strategies is modeling, positive and negative reinforcement, mocking, nagging, manipulating alternatives, providing incomplete or biased data. Second approach is moral development. Its purpose is to help students develop more complex moral reasoning patterns based on a higher set of values. Methods: moral dilemma episode with a small group discussion, relatively structured and argumentative, and also case study. Third approach is clarification. Its purpose is to help students communicate openly and honestly with others about their values. Its methods and strategies is role-playing games, small group discussion, and analysis. Fourth approach is we have analysis. Its purpose is to help students use logical thinking and scientific procedure in order to investigate social issues inherent to their immediate surroundings. Its methods or strategies is debate, research, individual or group study, library, and field with a rational class discussion. Fifth approach is action learning goes beyond thinking and feeling. Its purpose is to provide students with opportunities and changes to discover and act on their values. Its methods or strategies is group organizing and interpersonal relation. Last approach, we have transpersonal approach. Its purpose is to develop among students a higher level of consciousness and spiritual upliftment. Its methods and strategies is rest and relaxation exercises, imagination and awareness activities.
Values clarification strategies. The following are the 10 strategies. First, values voting. This strategy is a rapid method to check the learner's stand in various issues and to affirm it to others. For example, how many of you would be willing to stand up for what you believe in, even if it's losing your job? Please raise your hand. Number 2, values ranking. This strategy challenges the learners to thoughtfully consider decisions among alternatives and clarify priorities. For example, which of these are you more inclined to? People, ideas, things? Third, forced choices. This strategy is a variation of values ranking but compels the learners to make decisions between two competing alternatives. For example, which are you more of, a leader or a follower? Number 4, value continuum. This strategy provides the learner with a greater range of choices on certain issues. For example, how do you look at work in general? Number 5, strongly agree or strongly disagree. This strategy helps the learner examine the strength of their feelings about a given value or issue. Given example, circle the response that indicates how you feel about this thing. A person does not live by bread alone. Is it strongly agree somewhat, disagree somewhat, or strongly disagree? Number 6. Values whips. This strategy possesses questions and issues for the learner to consider. For example, what would you consider as an ideal workplace? Number 7. Unfinished sentences. This strategy surfaces some indicators of the learner's value as manifested in one's attitudes, interests, convictions, likes, dislikes, goals, and etc. For example, 5 years from now, I hope to. Number 8. Autobiographical questionnaires. This strategy facilitates the awareness of the learner's life patterns. For example, recall the various works that you have engaged in and the benefits that these have contributed to you. Number 9. Pictures without caption or freedom board. This strategy allows learners freedom of expression and at the same time explores their current thinking and feeling processes. For example, on this manila paper it is a newspaper headline. Today, write your reactions about it and in the space provided. Last but not the least, number 10. Coded papers. This strategy teaches the learners to become critical in their reading. For example, this is an article featured in a magazine recently. Read through it and indicate a plus sign to signify ideas that you favor and a negative sign to signify that you do not favor. We should always put in our mind that it is important for us as a future teacher or a future educator to remember that these strategies are tools to achieve the purpose of helping the learners clarify their values.
Now, let's proceed to the ACES methodology and phases of values learning. The ACES teaching approach employs both the inductive as well as the deductive method in conduct of the lessons, although the former is given more emphasis since certain principles and conditions of learning that activate the learner and make learning personal and meaningful are easier achieved through the inductive method, which means the ACES methodology uses both inductive and deductive method in delivering the lesson, but it is more in deductive, which means general to specific, or from the broader term to its very simplest detail. Next is the ACES teaching approach is based on the confluent theory of education. The theory provides for the following together an interaction of the affective and cognitive elements in individual and group learning.
Now, let's proceed to the model of the valuing process in the context of the teaching and learning cycle. Since our emphasis for valuing education is one of the holistic and integrated approach. In this light, there are 4 steps in teaching and learning cycle. Step 1. Cognitive level knowing. 1. Facilitator stresses the self as the most important resource in the workplace. 2. Facilitator shares a definition, clarifies the distinction of the 2 values. In this level, valuing does not exist in a vacuum. It has to have a knowledge base from which values will be explored. Basically, this level introduces specific values that are the subject area to look into and examine. Step 2. Conceptual level understanding. Facilitator paused for the participants to meditate on the story. 2. Facilitator link this to the idea that we are our own worst enemy. In this level, it is made up of knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge without understanding may lead to the insults, but knowledge with understanding leads to insights. Conceptual level is divided as 2 separate steps. Knowledge can be easily explained by the educator and in turn quickly memorized by the learners. For the learners, however, to understand and thereby gain insight requires wisdom. 3. Affective level value. Facilitator invites participants to reflect on how self-worth and self-reliance have been instilled in them. In this level, knowing and understanding are not guarantees that values could be internalized and integrated. Value concepts are filtered through one's experiences and reflections and are eventually affirmed in the affective dimensions. The last steps is active level or acting. Facilitator assures the participants that reclaiming one's responsibility is not an easy task. 2. Facilitator gathers some samples from the participants. 3. Facilitator instructs that participants to be mindful of observing themselves each day. This level, the value concepts that are valued ultimately lead to action. Whether the action is expressed in improved communication skills, better decision making, and the value concept find their way into our behaviors. The learners are thereby challenged to see the spontaneous flow of the concept and affective dimensions.